September 19th, 2022 marks the 25th anniversary of the death of Rich Mullins. I was only a few months old at the time that Rich died, and so I didn't get to experience his life, his ministry, or his music during his actual lifetime, but I did come across his stuff a few years back, and I like a lot of what he has to say, especially in his songs. And a lot of the different Christian artists that I gravitate towards nowadays also attest to being really impacted by this guy. And so what I wanted to do over the course of the next 7 days leading up to the anniversary of his death is I wanted to spend some times breaking down 7 different Rich Mullins songs. We're not going to go lyric by lyric or anything like that, but what we're going to do is this. I'm going to play a cover of a Rich Mullins song, not because I in any way think that I'm better than Rich, because I could never be that, but simply because if I played one of his versions of the songs, I'd have to deal with copyright stuff, and I don't want to deal with that, and so y'all are going to have to be stuck listening to my voice, and it's not going to be a polished version of this song. I am simply playing this at the piano in my living room, recording it into my phone. It's not polished at all, but in a way, I think that's kind of what Rich would have liked. And so we're going to play a cover of the song, and then after that, I'm going to give my brief thoughts on why I like this song in particular, and maybe share some particular lyrics that really stick out to me, and that's going to be it. Without further ado, here is 25 Years Without Rich.
You was a baby like I was once. You was crying in the early morning. You was born in a stable or Clear Lake Hospital's where I was born. They wrapped you in swaddling clothes. Me they dressed in baby blue. I was 12 years old in the meeting house, listened to the old men pray, and I was trying hard to figure out what it was they was trying to say. And there you were in the temple, Lord. They said you weren't old enough to know the things you knew. Well, did you grow up hungry? Did you grow up fast? Did the little girls giggle when you walked past? Did you wonder what it was that made them laugh? Did they tell you stories about the saints of old? Stories about their faith? They say stories like that make a boy grow bold. Stories like that make a man walk straight. You was a boy like I was once, but was you a boy like me? Well, I grew up around Taylor Lake. You grew up in Galilee. And if I ever really do grow up, Lord, I want to grow up and be like you. Did you wrestle with a dog and lick his nose? Did you play beneath the spray of a water hose? Did you ever make angels in the winter snow? Did they tell you stories about the saints of old? Stories about their faith? They say stories like that make a boy grow bold. Stories like that make a man walk straight. Scared playing hide and seek? Did you try not to cry when you scraped your knee? Did you ever skip a rock across a quiet creek? Did they tell you stories about the saints of old? Stories about their faith? They say stories like that make a boy grow bold. Stories like that make a man walk straight. And I really may just grow up and be like you someday. I really may grow up and be like you someday.
So when it came to picking out this song, I had already picked out 6 out of the 7 songs I was wanting to share this week, and I was really having a difficult time. Some of the other ones I had kind of been picking out were Calling Out Your Name, Sing Your Praise to the Lord, The Color Green, mainly because I knew that the thumbnail for this day was going to be green, and I was like, well, he has a song literally called The Color Green, why not do that? Another one I thought of was Screen Door, and that's because the day that I recorded this was a Sunday, and literally the pastor started out preaching on that day. He was preaching about faith alone. And he started the whole sermon by playing Rich Mullins' song, Screen Door, because it's about talking about how faith without works is as useless as a screen door on a submarine. And so I thought about doing that one as well. But the reason I ultimately went with this song is because I absolutely love how imaginative these lyrics are, and I just kind of like the sweetness of it. It's just kind of saying, like just having this kind of sober-minded realization that God literally came in the flesh, and there is so much we don't understand about that, but it's so much we can also learn from it as well, right? The God who created the universe chose to become like man, and this is one of the great mysteries of the gospel that we really just can't wrap our minds around. We're being like, okay, you were a boy like I was once, but was you a boy like me? Right? Like, I know that Christ walked in the flesh. I know that he grew up, but he was different, right? We have these different backgrounds, yes, but also, like, theologically speaking, he was built different. He was a different type of boy, but at the same time, he was a boy. And we don't know what his limitations were. We don't know, like, we get hints at that in the Bible. But the whole, like, hypostatic union of Christ, that's a fancy theological term for this. There's so much we don't know. And I think that this song grapples with that in a very funny kind of way, but it's also a very real and kind of sentimental and almost nostalgic kind of way. Just kind of talking about, like, what can Christ relate to us about, right? Did little girls giggle when he walked past? Did they have little crushes on him? And did he wonder why they were giggling, right? Did he go through that thing that all little boys go through whenever they're growing up? And they're like, why are those girls giggling at me? It's just like these little things, like, that's so imaginative. I would have never thought to come up with the lyrics of this song, and I love stuff like that. Whenever I hear a worship song or just a Christian song or just a song in general, it doesn't even have to be Christian. Whenever I hear a song that gets me thinking differently than I normally think, I naturally gravitate towards those because it just helps me think from a different perspective. And I just absolutely love stuff like that. And so I ultimately picked this one because of that. But also at the same time, it does go deeper because it's saying, okay, Christ became like us in order that we would be like Christ, right? And so it actually has this kind of call to action inherent to the entire thing, saying, yes, you made yourself like me out of your humility and out of your graciousness. And so, because you were willing to do that for me, I also owe it to you to strive to become more and more like you with each day of my life. And he doesn't really explicitly state that in the song, but I think it's understood there. And even the final words of the song are saying, like, I hope to be like you. And I just really like that. I think it's such a good song. I remember this is one of probably the first Rich Mullins songs I heard, and I just thought it was so cool. I'm pretty sure whenever I first heard of him, I just went and bought his, like, best hits album or whatever it was, and just started listening to them. And I was like, wow, I love this song, and I think more people need to hear it. And so that is ultimately why I picked this one. Thank you so much for listening to all that. Until next time, be sure to keep a smile on your face. Don't let anybody steal your joy, and I will see y'all later.
You read a verse, you sing a hymn, the money's in the plate. Sundays you mark out for him, but even then you show up late. You bought the shirt, you wear the cross, but sin throughout the week. For 30 shekels and a noose, you kiss him on the cheek.